What's up, everyone? Thomas Brown here. Welcome back to another video. So in this one, I wanted to speak about something that I've observed for quite a while, consuming information regarding fitness, whether it's online or through books. As a matter of fact, even in your health clubs, you're going to see this same consistent pattern that I believe really does a disservice to anybody who is on their fitness journey, even before you get started, just trying to understand what direction it is that you want to go in. And what I'm talking about is this presentation when it comes to fitness and nutrition that could be so excessive that people actually believe that you need to be almost some form of a scientist or truly be a professional personal trainer or nutritionist if they want to lose weight, build muscle, or just transform their body and achieve their desired physique. And I could see why there would be so much confusion. You could tell somebody that eating an apple is healthy and it's good for you to consume fruits for their vitamins and minerals, and somebody else is going to be right behind them with another video who will talk about this one compound that's been discovered in apples that's been known to be a detriment to your health, and it's affected 1 out of 1 million people. And this is enough to have that one consumer say, I don't know if I should be eating apples or not. And they do this with everything. They'll tell you that, yes, lifting heavy weights, bench pressing, for example, is a fantastic compound movement to help you build muscle. But when somebody else comes behind them and tells you that you might as well not even be bench pressing at all if you don't understand this correct angle for your elbows or exactly how low you should be having the bar go, otherwise you're not doing it right at all. Again, that instills enough confusion, especially for people who are just getting started, people who may not have the confidence to just go to the gym and allow themselves to go through the trials and errors of seeing what works best for them. You have to understand, many people feel a sense of insecurity just working out in front of other people. And this idea that they may look ridiculous by not knowing what they're doing is enough to make somebody not go to the gym. It's enough to make somebody not want to step into the free weight area. And so I think we should be mindful of how it is we're educating people on making improvements so that we're presenting it in a way where people are understanding that this information is supplemental and above and beyond. The most important thing a person can do is just be committed to a lifestyle of activity, committed to getting up, walking around, going to the gym, even having somewhat of a playful mindset. I know everything with gym culture is heavy and they're presenting this tough facade and this aggressive nature. And I'm not specifically against that, but I've also found that sometimes we go farther when we take some of this weight off of our backs and we could just allow ourselves to experience joy in this process. Go to the gym with a sense of curiosity and wonder about what type of exercise can I do today that's different? How can I play around with this machine or go check something out or just go explore something new with a sense of wonder without worrying about all these other things that get added onto our plate when we consume too much fitness content or too much fitness media, because ultimately at the end of the day, and if you're one of these people who really presents a lot of the minutia of fitness, may somewhat disagree with me, but I personally believe from my own experience, from what I've seen many other people accomplish outside of myself, it really only comes down to four factors. As a matter of fact, I just wrote them down here. This is all the space that it's taking on what I believe will help anybody achieve their fitness goals and get to a space where they are infinitely much happier, whether it's more energy, a transformed physique, or even improving health markers based on whatever they got from their doctor, and their doctor advised them that losing weight will be something that could remedy this issue. And so I just wanted to jot it down. I jot down notes for everything. As a matter of fact, in some of these videos, I think it'd be great to just show you guys a little bit more of my process for how I get information and I note things down, because as much as my ego may want to lean into this idea that I know so many different things, the reality is I'm grateful for what I do know from personal experience. I'm grateful for what I do know in a professional manner from working in a health club for so many years. But of course, the large portion of my information are just things that I am learning and processing and digesting and thinking about how I can share it with other people in order to maybe meet them where they're having a challenge and see if I could provide them some information to help them get through that hurdle. And so I want to share with you these four steps that I believe will radically transform anybody's level of fitness. And the first one is simply to make sure that you are eating in a caloric deficit. If you go into Google and you just put in TDEE calculator, total daily energy expenditure, there'll be a few metrics that you need to plug in, but they will tell you how many calories you're going to burn just at rest, meaning if you got up and you did nothing, how many calories are you going to burn? And once you understand what this figure is, when you're eating under it and you are being consistent, and of course, you never want to go too low, but just being under this number gradually over time, you will lose weight and you're going to gain all of the benefits that comes with changing your lifestyle in a way that conditions you to eat less. I know it's not very heavily promoted, this idea of eating less, because unfortunately people can take this to the extreme. It seems that we have this mindset about everything in society where if a little bit of something is good, then a lot of it must be fantastic. And of course, that doesn't apply when it comes to our caloric deficit. Typically, they'll say to be within 100 to 500 calories under that number that is your total daily energy expenditure. So if I were to just throw something out there for you, if it says that you're going to burn 2,000 calories every day at rest, no matter what, then you could start educating yourself to understand how much it is that you're eating. And when you start aiming for 750 calories a day or 1,500 calories a day, then you're going to be able to lose weight essentially no matter what it is that you do, regardless of whether you exercise or not. And we all know that there are many, many health benefits to losing weight. And they don't tell you that this weight has to be lost through exercise. It's just the problems that come with excessive body fat that could be prevented by eating less calories. So that's always step one. And step two is to walk 10,000 steps a day. When you're already in a caloric deficit and you add that with walking 10,000 steps a day, you will undoubtedly start to see results, and you will start to see results in a pretty rapid fashion. And typically, this will come in the form of just checking your scale and seeing the number go down. You don't have to check it every day. It doesn't hurt if that's part of your routine where you check it first thing in the morning. But either way, if you are consistent in these two areas, you're going to very quickly see results on the scale. And if you know that you're seeing results on the scale, then if you're consistent in this fashion, then as they say, your friends and family will notice a difference in you after over time, and then you will notice that difference in yourself. So don't get discouraged when you see the number on your scale going down, but you're not necessarily seeing the results. When we sit there and we look in the mirror, all we're seeing is this front portion of ourselves, or all we're doing is staring at our midsection, because this is usually what we're thinking about when we're thinking about this idea of wanting to lose body fat. But we could be losing weight in so many different areas before we even get to that point. We could be losing weight in our thighs. We could be losing weight on our backs. So there's many different areas. But if you combine eating under your total daily energy expenditure with 10,000 steps a day, it is extremely synergetic. There is no doubt that you will achieve a fat loss result just from these two steps alone. As a matter of fact, many people will ask me, what type of routine do I need to do? How can I lose weight? How can I do this? How can I do that? They have so many different questions. And I'm just of the belief, not absolute about this, it's not a requirement per se, but I truly believe if you're not willing to take on these first two steps, you may not quite be at a point where you're ready to really embark on a fitness, fat loss, lifestyle changing journey. To me, these are the gateways to that process. It's like martial arts where you spar before you really get into a more aggressive combat scenario, or you're just shadow boxing before you even get a chance to step into the ring. And if you're not willing to shadow box, if you're not willing to build a foundation, if you're not willing to hone these skills, then mentally you may not be ready to take it another step. And I don't say that to discourage you, because many people have different paths, but I just find that this is such a great primer for building the character that will essentially help us make lifestyle changes a part of our everyday habits. So those two are incredibly important, and those two will help you see results right away. Now, as we get more and more into the process, we can never negate the importance of having muscle on our body. I heard it said brilliantly on a different podcast. I forget which one I was watching, but they said you cannot separate having muscle from being healthy. And I know we're conditioned to think that they belong almost in two separate categories. And I think a lot of that comes from what we've seen so often over the years with fitness magazines and bodybuilding competitions. People we know are doing things that aren't necessarily healthy, despite the fact that sometimes people may look fantastic. I don't think it's a secret anymore that usually when we see somebody on the cover of that magazine, or we see somebody on that fitness stage, or we see somebody with that shirtless scene in a movie, that they're actually at one of their least healthy points despite their appearance. This is the phase where they're potentially under eating, or this is the phase where they are dehydrated so that they look better and their skin tightens and everything pops a little bit more. So sometimes we get to the point where we're just saying, hey, these people who look this type of way, they're not really that healthy. We don't really need to have muscle. There's so many different alternatives, and the marketing of other types of fitness paints a more holistic form of health, right? Pilates, yoga, running, so many different things that just doesn't seem to have this sort of darker cloud to it, especially for people who don't have any experience in the weight room, don't have any experience with bodybuilding or anything like that. But muscle is extremely important in its most practical phases. The more muscle we have on our body, the higher our metabolism is going to be. The more our metabolism is running at a high level, the more calories we're going to burn every single day, the easier it's going to be to maintain our physiques and keep a cap on our body fat levels without having to put in as much effort. What to speak of making sure that we're having muscle when we get older so that we can perform our very basic functions, getting up out of a chair, reaching over our head to grab something, helping somebody move, playing with your grandchildren. So many different things will be benefited by having a certain amount of muscle on our body. So we want to be lifting weights. We want to at least be doing this 3 times a week. Now, this number is somewhat arbitrary. You'll hear many people talk about going twice a week. You'll hear people talking about going 5 times a week. So we don't have to be writing this portion in stone. Just make sure that you are finding a routine that works for you, where you're lifting weights and where you're finding a way to make sure that you're hitting all of the major muscles in your body: chest, back, legs. Compound movements, of course, are a great way to do this. I mentioned bench pressing. Yes, fantastic exercise. Deadlifts, squats, overhead press. These are the type of movements that will not only target those major muscles, but also target the supporting muscles as well. So we're able to get more out of each and every one of these exercises. So when you're doing that bench press, you're also targeting your triceps. When you're doing that overhead press, you're targeting your shoulders, your chest, your back. When you're doing that squat, you're targeting your hamstrings, your quads, your glutes, you're engaging your core. So many things are being involved in these workouts. Now, these could be a little bit more advanced. So at the end of the day, if you're not there yet, use the machines, go light, do whatever it is that you have to do to make sure that you're feeling comfortable but you are utilizing some level of weight training into your routine. Don't let somebody tell you that you have to constantly be lifting heavy. Find out how you're going to make sure that you incorporate it first and then aim to improve as you move along. The important thing is that you're getting started, and the important thing is that you are staying consistent. And now the fourth one that goes hand in hand really with lifting weights is just making sure that you are prioritizing protein as a part of your diet. Protein is not just hype and something that marketers and big companies push down your throats to sell products. It has been proven to help you build, maintain your muscle, prevent you from losing your muscle when you are in this caloric deficit that I spoke to you about. Because remember, it's not weight that we're wanting to lose, right? Weight can include many different things where you're losing body fat as well as muscle. And we don't want to do that. The goal is always to maintain what muscle we do have and try to lose as much body fat as possible. And so maintaining this maintaining this muscle is contingent on making sure that we're exercising it by lifting weights and telling our body, hey, this is something that we need. Let's not lose this. Let's keep this, or let's build onto this if possible. And making sure that we are fueling ourselves right to maintain that as well. So to summarize it, eat in a caloric deficit, walk 10,000 steps a day, make sure that you're lifting weights, and prioritize protein as part of your everyday meals, your nutrition, and you will see change. You will not only lose body fat, but eventually you will have a physique that people will correlate with being fit, because you will have the muscles that go along and show more when that body fat percentage is lower. And while I did just put this in 4 things, you have to consider all the information that's out there that I left out. I didn't say that you had to be a vegan, a vegetarian, a raw foodist, on a carnivore diet. I didn't say that you have to be doing ultramarathons, triathlons. I didn't even say that you have to be a runner. You don't have to train to be a bodybuilder. I know so few people whose actual goal is to be on a magazine, or whose actual goal is to be on a bodybuilding stage. Even working with bodybuilders in my time in the fitness industry, there were always the 1% of the people who would be in the gym working out. Many of us are just trying to improve our lives, improve our health, and incorporate activity as part of our lifestyle. No different than we think about taking a bath and brushing our teeth. We're not striving for perfection. We're just striving for healthy habits that will help us sustain not just a longer life, but a more quality life. And to me, it just comes down to these 4 areas. So I wanted to share those with you. Now, I know whoever's watching this, there's many people doing many different things. So if you have a different opinion, if you feel like there's something that I should have included on this list, I would certainly like to hear it. So leave a comment below. But that's all I have for this one, and I'll talk to you next time.